We give you all glory,
A church in Norfolk, Virginia holds debt revivals. Individuals with large debts are selected, and then donations from parishioners pay off those debts. The church members then destroy their credit cards.
It's kind of hard to serve the Master and MasterCard. And so we've chosen to get rid of those cards to line our lives up with the Bible. Our debt liquidation program actually takes our members, pays off all of their debts except for their house and their cars.
What you're saying is, in a way, very unfashionable in a society that preaches the gospel of shopping, okay? The gospel of buying things.
Exactly. We are desperately hurting because we have established a level of success that says the more credit cards you have, the more you're worth. When really, in essence, that's not true. Our society has been really set up to keep us struggling and not give us relief. I believe that there's going to be economic fallout. And I'm telling my church, be prepared.
What goes up?
It has to come down.
To Chase and to Wachovia, Wells Fargo, Sallie Mae, to MasterCard and Citibank, and also B of A. American Express and Visa, Morgan Stanley too. In debt we trust, so pay we must. We owe it all to you.
I pledge allegiance to the card of the United States of Credit, one nation under debt, with bankruptcies, late fees, and high interest for all. Credit. We can't live without it, and many of us can't live with it. In fact, right now, the United States of America and its people are kept alive by all the money we borrow. It's been called the democratization of credit, but for many, it leads to the democratization of dependency. Just look at all the ads on TV selling us more ways to take out loans. Behind our formal institutions, and more powerful than our politicians, is a hidden financial complex driving what the country's leading academic expert on the issue, Robert Manning, dubs our credit card nation.
We're seeing people who are dependent on credit. We're seeing them trying to struggle and make their minimum payments, where their ability to pursue the American dream is how much credit the bank is going to offer them.
Hey, it's only money. Other people's money, or what we call OPM. We're all living beyond our means. We're all living on credit. We're all living with debt, and it's growing every single day. The national savings rate is now 0. Americans spend more than we earn. It's never been like that before. And I have to deal with it also. I have mortgages. I have credit cards. I have all kinds of other loans. Meanwhile, my savings account is shrinking away. I started to make this film about other people's problems, and I realized it was about me too. I'm facing a credit squeeze that is as personal as it is political. The question, can we even live without credit cards?
At some point in your life, you need them. You need them to rent cars, you need them to rent hotel rooms. They provide a value service.
Look at me, man. Stop sending me credit card letters, man. I don't want any more credit cards. I already have bad credit.
To investigate this clandestine world masked by terms like proprietary information, we will tour this nation within a nation to meet some of the experts, advocates, and activists who can demystify a web of unchecked power that often determines where we live, how we live, and if we live at all.
It's about people being taken advantage of. It's about losing the American dream.
I couldn't bring myself to file bankruptcy.
Because I wanted to pay everybody. I didn't want to just like say, oh, well, you're out of your money, you're beat.
We visited the Capitol in Washington, D.C. and found a congresswoman outraged by the power of industry lobbyists.
What you have here is an atrocity, a calamity, a collapse of the, I guess, the sympathy that American government should have for its people, because we've simply allowed the credit card giants to walk in, walk over us.
While the Atlanta-based former governor of Georgia says the whole country is being ripped off without knowing it.
Credit card debt has taken the greatest asset, to a large extent, that middle-class America had, working America, and that was the equity in their home. And so we have this really threat to the way we are as a people, and nobody seems to be concerned about it.
From coast to coast and shore to shining shore, in every mall and on every street, Americans are hurting without always being aware of why. This is not just a story about credit card mania, but what lurks behind it. What former Reagan advisor Kevin Phillips calls financialization, a powerful credit industrial complex deliberately engineered by excessive debt.
Let's spend a few minutes with a certain individual we'll call Mr. Money.
The idea of credit used to be so simple.
Hello, I'm Mr. Money. People can't seem to get along without me as cash or credit. What does credit mean to you?
Gosh, I don't know. Buy now and pay later, I guess.
Not bad. But there's a lot more to it than that.
Today's our first day of freshman orientation. Over 2,000 freshmen from all over the country, in fact all over the world, are here. Some have a little bit more familiarity of managing their own personal finances than others. And I start off here with an antique savings bank. We used to train children to enjoy savings. Today we're training them to enjoy how to spend.
We're in the fight to save people's lives. People are getting into debt. I mean, every day that's just way beyond what they can handle. And when you meet someone that's 18, 19 years old and they're telling you how they're, $15,000, $20,000 in credit card debt, no one ever sat them down and explained, what it was like to try to get a job if your credit score was really messed up. I get the feeling a lot of times working with Dr. Manning that we're David and the credit card companies are Goliath. They have the mass media campaigns behind them, the lobbyists in Washington, D.C., and all we have is the truth.
Manning's lecture the next day packs them in, a sign of widespread alarm about so many kids leaving college with an average of $20,000 of debt.
Of this issue? Well, many of you probably have forgotten that the American Revolution was largely driven by the great American planners that were heavily in debt to European banks, and they had very onerous terms. And they recognized that they could not financially prosper under such outrageous financial demands. So part of the American Revolution was to break enslavement from financial debt.
We just constantly are getting bombarded from the credit card companies, and it's like, don't send it, I don't want it.
My daughter got one the other day, $5,000, and she's never had anything, so. Would you counsel for or against getting a credit card?
I think every student should get a credit card. But if their parents will not co-sign and they don't have an independent source of income, it should be capped at $500. And only if the student isn't delinquent in payments, then it would be raised $500 a year till graduation to a limit of $2,500.
One former student, Andrea Rodriguez, wishes she had listened.
I remember the first time when I went to a mall with a friend of mine, and there was a whole bunch of people outside just advertising credit cards for college students. So I applied for one. And of course, I didn't put the right income because I wanted a credit card. And a couple of weeks later, I received a credit card for a limit of $10,000. So I went out and I spent and I spent and I spent. At that time, I was not making any kind of money.
Soon she was in way over her head.
I got a lot of bills over $5,000. For one credit card, I owed, $7,000, which was not the $10,000 credit card. That was another credit card. So I was like, I can't pay this. I was just going crazy. So I decided, my cousin actually is in with finance, and I decided to just go bankrupt at 21.
Gee, Mr. Money, do girls have to learn all this about credit, too?
Well, Judy, women do most of the shopping when they get married, and very often spend most of the family income.
And now let's see just how shopping can be fun. Real fun.
This is a toy that's designed for children 3 years and up. The Barbie register toy. And it actually gives you the exact sound of an acceptance of using a credit card when it processes it at the cash register. There's also Malibu Barbie, who comes with her own gold MasterCard. And there's Shopping Girl Barbie, where she has her own store to pick and choose with her credit card.
While Manning was warning parents and students of the dangers of getting suckered, local banks were setting up tables to sign up new customers right outside his lecture room.
They'll need anything for deposit. They're giving out free backpacks.
Okay. They get 0% on the purchases for 6 months, and then it goes to a standard interest rate.
On students, we usually give a line of somewhere between $300 and $500.
What's the interest rate, or how much does it cost to?
I don't know the interest rate offhand, sorry.
Okay.
Manning knows he's fighting an uphill battle against a culture that thrives on consumption.
I just need your signature. Right here, please.
The key for the banks is to get them dependent upon consumer credit, shape their attitudes towards savings, consumption, and debt, and to then multiply the number of financial products that they're buying from that particular bank. So the credit card will lead to the student loan, to the car loan, eventually to a home mortgage, and then maybe some insurance products and investment opportunities.
And it's free while they're a student.
Young people today that see credit as a social entitlement have no understanding of what it's going to entail to repay those loans back. Once they're used to living on borrowed money, then the banks realize that they'll be following that pattern possibly for the rest of their lives.
The pressure on students is intensifying. The cost of student loans is up thanks to the manipulation of interest rates. A lower fixed rate has been replaced by a higher variable rate. That means $5,800 more on average for students to pay off their debts.
I am so broke.
I was so broke.
So broke.
Have you had to roll change to pay for something recently? Yes, see, you know, yeah, right now.
No wonder campuses are welcoming presentations like this one by James Cunningham called Funny Money, teaching financial literacy to students. A student in Pennsylvania robbed a bank for cash to pay his debts. Other students have committed suicide.
What they find themselves in is in such a high level of debt that they can't possibly pursue the kinds of careers that they anticipated. This level of debt really is going to define their future and is going to have a significant long-term impact on American society, where students can't go into the streets. They're not going to be able to demand social change because not only do they have a student loan debt to pay, but they've got credit card debts as well before they're even 22 years old.
I wish if I could go back and start over, I would have never touched credit cards. I tell my little brothers and sisters, whatever you do, do not get a credit card if you can help it. My name is Amelia Martin. I'm 27 years old. I'm from North Carolina. I guess about 10 years ago, I realized that I had accumulated a nice chunk, about $12,000 worth of credit card debt that I wanted to get rid of. I was 20 years old and I had a ton of debt already. And then I found these 0% cards, which made a lot of sense, right? That was like a way to beat the system, use the credit cards, and not pay interest. Seemed like a really great idea. These are all my 0% cards that I'm not using. This one, those are both Chase. This one, you know, I have debt spread across all of these cards and I'm managing all of these cards. This one I just canceled, which was very exciting, but only because I made a payment late and they charged me a lot of money. You have to do a lot of research. They usually only last about a year. You have to pay everything exactly on time. You have to keep up with it. It's a lot of work. I have my day planner where I have, you know, things that I'm doing in my life, as well as when credit card payments are due and when credit card 0% cards lose their 0%. I don't know, it's a lot of work. I think in about 8 years I've managed to pay off $6,000, which is half of my debt, which means I guess what, I have another 8 years. So it's going to take me 16 years to pay off $12,000. So I'm looking forward to the day when I don't have any debt. That'll be a good day.